Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Final Flight podcast. We are here once again live on a Thursday night for our weekend preview. Boys, obviously a big weekend coming up. We've got Cheltenham November meeting, the Paddy Power meeting. Rich, you're heading down there tomorrow, I believe. So that's going to be a really good meeting this time round, I think. There's some really good racing over in Ireland that will no doubt get stuck into later. I'm sure Joe's got an opinion on a certain race that we'll be talking about later on. But yeah, thank you for joining and liking and subscribing and all that. If you are joining and watching, make sure you hit the like button. It's supposed to help. So yeah, thank you very much. So obviously we've had a really good week and we're looking forward to Cheltenham. Rich, I mean, you're going down there tomorrow. Are you going down in the morning?
Yeah, setting off bright and early in the morning, get there just before breakfast, and then head to the course. Can't wait.
Yeah, it should be a belter. Some really good horses out tomorrow. Joe, have you got any racing plans this weekend? I'm heading over to Wetherby on a Saturday, so I think the rain might be just about blowing over. So, you got any plans for racing this weekend, or are you just going to be watching at home?
No, disappointment actually. Normally I'm flying the flag, but no, I'm in York on Saturday with a few mates, and then the following weekend I am at the Betfair Chase. So if anyone has managed to look, James backed the favourite a long time ago at a bigger price. So I'll be cheering that one home, fingers crossed. But yeah, good weekend of racing. You two lads flying the flag.
Yeah, it makes a change, doesn't it? Us two going to racing and you sitting home. But yeah, obviously Betfair Chase Day next weekend's going to be decent. We'll have a preview of that and hopefully Protectorat, who we are sat on a very juicy price, goes and wins once the non-runners come in their droves. Right then, so what we'll do is I'm going to kick straight into it. We're going to go with, I've got my little graphic here, which I'll add here. So tomorrow, Friday, the Cheltenham Arkle Trial, then obviously Chase at 2:20. We're just going to dive straight into it. Obviously, a little bit unfortunate. It's only a 4-runner race. You've got JPR1, Mighty Tom in here, Petite Tonnerre, and obviously a Greenhorn and Guerrero yard horse in Home Public, one of the horses we managed to see when we did our yard visit. If you haven't watched that video, go watch it. It's our highest viewed video. So yeah, thanks to everyone who's watched that. I suppose it's a tough little race to dissect, isn't it? I'll come to you, Rich. I mean, obviously JPR1's going to go favourite. I mean, he's short enough now. I mean, you look back through his form. He won 2 out of 3 maidens. He beat some decent horses, but he beat Iron Maximus early on in his career, actually. Switched to Tizards, won a Taunton handicap. He's done okay over hurdles. I mean, fences, obviously, it was impressive last time out when he beat ICO or Ikio, whichever way you want to pronounce it, and Monville. I mean, did you think that that result, that win, puts him in a fair favourite?
Yeah, I mean, he probably deserves to be favourite after that performance. I'm a bit underwhelmed with this race. Only the 4 runners. I can't really have him as the favourite to bet against. I'd probably, like I say, I watched Home Public's win last time out of Wetherby, and I thought that was quite impressive. Didn't look a massive horse, but still jumps fairly well. So I'll probably maybe punt one of the 2 outsiders in this, either Home Public or is it Petit Tonnerre?
Petite Tonnerre.
That'll do. I'd probably punt one of those 2 potentially rather than avoid the first 2 in the market. Like you say, only 4 runners. It's not really one I can get excited about, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of looked at this in the angle of basically probably just a fun bet for me. I mean, obviously, Joe, we saw Home Public. We went to see the yard. He was a really good winner last time out. He's won on soft before, but his latest wins have been on good ground. I mean, I think the ground is currently good to soft, so it should suit pretty much everyone. I think, if anything, it's just a little bit of a shame we've only got 4 runners in an Arkle Trial at the home of Jumps Racing. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, 100%, mate. And one I'd probably take note of is the Raider, Mighty Tom. Obviously progressed in the hurdling ranks at the Galway Festival, finishing 4 lengths behind Zarek the Brave, which wasn't bad at all. Then was sort of unlucky to be beaten by She Could Be Anything. Not unlucky, but unlucky to bump in to a horse of such class. And then on Chase debut, was sort of ridden out the back quietly, beaten by Let's Clear About It. I know he was sort of the talk of the day, jumped unbelievably well and won well. He finished 10 lengths off, but he was held up in rear. He made quite a bit of headway. He just couldn't sustain the challenge. But I think a fit horse coming here in a 4-runner race, coming over from Ireland, it might be a bit telling JPR1 was impressive, but at 6-4, it's very short for a 4-runner field. And I'm just not willing to back at that price. And I do think Mighty Tom might get a bit of money, to be honest. So probably I will have a little go on.
Yeah, you love an Irish Raider, don't you, Joe? Yeah, I thought the run behind, let's be clear about it, wasn't too bad. Obviously, it's 2 mile 4. He's dropping back to 2 mile. So he is race fit, and you'd have to think he'd go close. I think for me, it's not a big betting race, unfortunately. I'd probably have a little fun play on Hump Public. You can get about 6-1. His obviously half brother runs earlier on in the day actually over at Doncaster. We might mention that later on, but yeah, I think Hump Public at 6-1. I'll probably just have a small little fun bet on him. I think JPR one's just too short. I think Petit Tonnerre is very interesting. Obviously, John Joe for JP coming off a break. It's just one of them. He's going to have to jump really well, to be fair. First time out to have a chance in this, but I'd probably have a fun bet on Hump Public, to be fair, and that'd probably be about it for the Arkle trial. Fantastic. Right, so we're going to move on now then to the cross country. Now, this is a race that's obviously got everyone's mouth watering, which is crazy when you think about it, because we're talking about, older horses running over cross country banks and things like that. But we've obviously got Delta Work and Galvin, the two main ones for Gordon Elliott in here, and a few others in here. Obviously, this one's a handicap. So, I mean, Galvin's got James on claiming 7. Keith Donohue's on Delta Work. I mean, I'll come to you, Joe. Looking through this race, I mean, obviously we've seen Cheltenham cross country winners get beat in this, giving lumps away. Do we think that sort of thing's going to happen this time round? I think that one of these two is just going to win it.
It's strange, mate, isn't it? Because, I mean, Gordon Elliott throws one up over these type of obstacles every year. And to be fair, when I look back, I was pretty impressed with Galvin's run at Cheltenham on soft. I know soft will have suited Delta Work. It certainly did the year before, didn't it? Beat Tiger Roll. But, yeah, I quite like Galvin, to be fair, taking off the... is it Rob James taking off £7?
Yep.
Yeah, and when I look back through the race, I was pretty impressed how he went through the race. Just didn't seem to get up the hill, but it was soft, and it was very soft that day. Obviously, back on the lash, has won this before. Not sure where that horse has been, to be honest. I'm not certain if he's back to what he was. Like I say, I said it earlier on the way to you guys. It's not a major play race for me, to be honest. There'll be some coming here, and it'll probably be, that horse's main target of the year. Come here, take weight off some big, good horses, and win here. And obviously, ultimately, Delta Work and Galvin are going to go on to better things. Horses that aren't as good but are fresher and, ready for this might take all a beat and getting weight.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair comment, mate. I'll just put this comment up. Josh is in the chat. It says, "Evening, fellas." Evening, Josh. Thanks for tuning in, mate. We do appreciate it. Hit the like button, Josh. We're going to get some winners. Don't you worry about that. I'll come to you, Rich, obviously. I love saying that. I'll come to you, Rich, just so we know who's talking. I mean, for me, if I were going to side between the top two, I'd probably be with Galvin, purely on the fact that he won first time out last season on good ground. So I think if it dries up, I think he'd be the one. Plus, he gets a little bit of weight from Delta Work. I mean, you're brave to be backing either, but I can't have Delta Work in this person. I think I'd be with Galvin, to be honest.
Yeah, it's kind of the way I've sort of played it as well. The rider taking off that £7, I think, just swung it for me. He was only 2.5 lengths behind Delta Work at Cheltenham, and that was on soft ground. Galvin's more of a good ground sort of horse. So
it was soft ground.
Could have favoured Delta Work. We all know Delta Work's main target is the cross country in March. So I wouldn't really, even if he runs poorly in this, I wouldn't really put anybody off and maybe wait on the day to see what the weather's like. Like you say, Delta Work loves a soft. But yeah, Galvin's got a good record fresh. I think he's won 3 times, every time for the past 3 seasons when he's started first time out. So yeah, he's probably, like I say, it's probably not a big bet, but he's probably the one I'd maybe have a dabble on. Those two are the class in the field, aren't they? And maybe just that £7 will swing it in Galvin's favour.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like I said before, the cross-country winners have been beating this before, giving the lumps away. But I do think this is the one where, with Galvin having the claiming jockey on, he might just have a little bit too much class for them. And when you go through the race, there isn't really much to get too excited about. I'll give a little small fun mention to Divivant for the Greenhorn Guerrero. Obviously, we spoke to, was it George? George, the conditional amateur jockey. He quite fancy this guy's for the the Fox Hunters potentially. So we'll keep an eye on him, see how he runs. Hopefully, he'll run well at a big price. He's 40-1 currently. So
did he say? I can't remember. Sorry, did he say he needed a place or win a certain race, or was this guy qualified and there was another one?
It was him and Gabora, I think he mentioned, and I think one of them's qualified, one of them in. I can't remember which one he says, but
watch the video and find out.
Yeah, if you go back and watch the video for the stale visit, you'll find out. But he did win at Bangor, did this fella, so it might be this fella that's already qualified. So it might be one for down the line, but just want to keep an eye on see how he runs tomorrow. But I'll side with Galvin. I think I'll go with Galvin for this one. Lovely. So we're going to move on then swiftly. The 3:30. Novices heard on. Obviously, there's a 2 mile 5 furlong here, and we have a very short price. Captain Teague makes another appearance. Who did I go to first last time? Joe, come to you. I mean, is this just a penalty kick for him? Obviously, up in trip. You know, it's obviously good to soft, but he should be winning this, surely. Surely he should be winning this. Can you see anything getting near him, mate?
No, nothing at all. I mean, he won with plenty in hand last time out. He went through the race slightly novice-y. You know, he was good at certain ones. He never looked unsafe, shall I say, but he wasn't as fluent as others. But the further he went in the race, the better he got. And I just think, you know, he done exactly the same last year with Hermes Allen, brought him here. I just think he's probably, it's going to be a typical Nichols, best of the English. I can't see this guy winning at Cheltenham, to be totally honest. Evening, Craig. I've just seen his comment. But yeah, obviously won the Persian War, won it well. He was going away at the line. For me, he looks like one of them who, you know, he's a big galloper. He just gets quicker and quicker and grinds horses to defeat. And I think he'll do exactly the same here.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the ground is currently good to soft. I wouldn't want it getting any. Obviously, it drains really well, does Cheltenham, so you won't want it getting too towards the good ground side of it, because I think that's when it might be a little bit vulnerable potentially. I mean, Rich. Obviously, there'll be probably the entirety of Twitter will be on this horse. Probably a few at a bigger price anti-post. Is it just a case of GSI and that's it, and move on, take your winnings and move on?
I think so. If this horse doesn't win, I think there'll be a lot of unhappy people, not just on the course, but I think on Twitter. And I think
the classic Twitter horse curse, though, won't it?
Yeah, this guy will be in everybody's multiples and accas and all sorts for the weekend. Like you say, it's probably a penalty kick. The one I maybe would worry about is maybe Kimbara, maybe if he can go close. But I just think if Captain Teague is going on to win like these bigger races that Nichols is planning for him, then surely he's got to come and just win this.
To be honest, I couldn't believe he was 6-4. I know Rich took it up. I had a little bit on it, and then I got back in at even money the other night. I know the horse had a lot of talk, but when you look, and like Rich said there, the races he has in mind for this horse, and he's done it last year with Hermes Allen. It's the same route. He knows exactly, how to train the horse. I honestly cannot see this beaten. I really do think this is a penalty kick.
Yeah, me personally, obviously, I won't be back in now at 8-13 on. I think it's short enough. I think if it does keep drying up, I don't know how much rain they do, but if it does keep drying up, that would get me a little bit worried. Obviously, we know he stays really well. We saw that in the Persian War. He looked beat, to be fair. He looked outpaced. He was getting bustled along. He's jumping. But once he got into full flight towards the end, he just powered away. But Kimbara's no mug, I think, he's won a race over in Wexford on good to yield. So the ground might do well. He's sort of battered. He's won his last 2 races by 18 lengths, so he's going to be no mug. So it's going to be a good test for Captain Teague. And the only other one I will give a little mention at a big price was the horse called Manila Missile for Evan Williams, won a couple of weeks, about 3 weeks ago, straight from point to points, won at a big price. Now, Aaron Wedge takes the ride, and the more it dries up, the more I'd maybe give him a little each way squeak. So I might have a little each way on him, but Captain Teague should be winning this race. Will I get stuck in at 8-13 on? Definitely not. I'll just watch. But
8-13 is the best price, 4-7 everywhere else now. I've just had a quick check through there.
Yeah, if he's not winning this, I mean, I don't think he's going to win at Cheltenham anyway. We're not talking
No.
Ballamore with the race for me. I think the Irish have just got it sewn up half the time. So we'll see how he goes, lads. Captain Teague on the thumbnail. I quite like this thumbnail. I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was pretty good. This. Go on, Captain Teague.
Captain Teague.
Evening, Craig. Craig's dropped into the chat. You all right, mate? Good evening.
Hi,
Thank you
Craig.
for jumping on the chat. We do appreciate it. Hit the like button. We're obviously well over 300 subscribers now, which is pretty crazy. On his way to 350 already. So thank you for everyone who's supported the channel so far. Hopefully we're bringing some decent content and some good winners. Right, so that'll do for Cheltenham for tomorrow. We've got quite a bit to get through, so we're going to head over to Wexford. I thought I'd put this race in here simply because, I mean, I'm seeing people saying Bron is a Gold Cup style horse. I mean, what are your thoughts on this, Rich? Again, it's another penalty kick. You've got Churchtown Warrior in here. Manila Crooner comes back for Gordon Elliott. Ida's Boy, Joyou Machine, and Time to Rocco. Is it a penalty kick for Bron?
Again, I'm not 100% sure. He probably is, to be fair. He's risky though, in my opinion. I think he's a bit of a madhouse. I was swaying towards Churchstone Warrior, but he's got to concede £5 to him, and I think that just might swing it in Bron's favour. I mean, Churchstone Warrior does bring some decent chase form, second 3 times and one last time out at Navan. But yeah, I think Bron probably wins this. Just giving that extra, getting that £5 swing, I just think that'll be enough.
Yeah, so that's a nice double for Captain Teague and Bron for Joe there. I'm sure with Jay signing into that. What's your thoughts then, mate? I mean, obviously I put this race in there just because Bron, I've seen the people mentioning him at big prices of the Gold Cup. Surely, I mean, he might win this, but surely he's got no chance of Gold Cup. What do you think?
No, mate. I mean, I think it's sort of the same thing of Captain Teague in terms of he won't win at Cheltenham, but he'll win races along the way. He should win. I mean, he's been off 7 months, but he was good. He was decent enough as a novice. Bit of a head case. What I do quite like, I wouldn't back it but I will be interested on how he runs against this better opposition. Is Joyeux Machine? Is it?
Joyeux Machine, I'll go for.
That's the one. Yeah, what wasn't a bad hurdler. His best run sort of last time on heavy ground. Sorry, no, it wasn't. He was a non-runner. It was on yielding ground. Beat Ernest Fizz. And he won pretty comfortably, to be fair. He won 1 3/4 lengths, but he didn't look in any danger. He was always saw win the race. And I just think maybe in each way bet, if you can get 3 places, I wouldn't put you off that if you're having a bet in the race. But for me, it's not a betting race. To be fair, I know I backed Captain Teague earlier on in the week, but I wouldn't be having a bet in that race either, to be honest.
Yeah, short and sharp on that one. I think Bron probably wins, but again, it's short enough, and it's not one to get stuck into too deeply. So we'll move on then, because there's a bit to get through on the Saturday and some really nice racing. So we're going to go back to Cheltenham now for the Saturday card, the 145. Now, obviously, this is a novice chase over 3 mile, half a furlong. You've got Mr. Coffee in here for the Henderson team with Nico on board. You've got Good Risk It All for Sam Thomas with Sam Twiston Davis. And there's Nigel Twiston Davis has 2 runners in here. We've all been caught. Broadway Boy, Ala Filth, I can't say the name, but then Cloudy Flamingo. I mean, this looks a tasty little race, I think. I'll come to you, Rich. I mean, for me personally, I've kind of landed on Good Risk It All. But again, it's one of them where I won't want it to dry up too much. I thought it was an impressive performance at Carlisle. Obviously, Giovinco was in the race and he unseated 3 out. They were both coming to 3 out together. So it would have been interesting to see what would have happened. Obviously, Giovinco went to Aintree and bolted up with the fences taken out. So we know he's a good horse. And that makes me think that Good Risk It All is also a good horse. Like I say, I thought he jumped really well. This is obviously a step up in trip. So that should suit him fine. He's actually won on the old course before, really early on in his career. Won a maiden hurdle, I think. Well, it might have been a bumper, but it was on the old course. So he's got Cheltenham course form. I just think he's got a really good chance on Saturday. I mean, I'll ask your opinion on it, Rich. I mean, do you think he's the one to be on, or are you going to go with something else?
I mean, the one I did like is Broadway Boy, but I've kind of got thinking, why is Sam Twiston Davis not on him?
I think it's to do with the owners of Good Risk It All.
Yeah, they've had him on before.
He seems to run a lot for, I think it's Walter's Plant Hire. He does a lot of riding for them in them colours. It's got to be the only reason, surely, hasn't it?
I suppose, but he was on board when he beat Mufasa by I can't remember, was it a few lengths? That was quite impressive. And then he was second to Flooring Porter, but he was conceding £5 that day. I thought that was a good effort as well. I think Nico was on board that day, but he's the one I kind of like. But like you say, it's interesting with the Giovinco form and the one that you mentioned, the Good Risk at All, is it?
Good risk at all. Good risk at all, yeah.
Yeah. So it'd be quite interesting to see how that Giovinco form kind of stands, because I think he potentially would have won that if he'd have stayed on his feet. So I'm quite interested to see how that stands up. But yeah, the one I like is Broadway Boy, but I'm having doubts.
It's like anything. I mean, I put Broadway Boy up against Flooring Porter, and to be fair, it was soft ground before. It is now good to soft. If it's drying out, he would be a danger big time if he gets his jumping going. He does jump really well. If he can get out in front and get in a good rhythm, he could have a few of these off quite early. But and Mr. Coffee, I'd probably be against him off a break. He's only won, I think it's once out of 3 times first time out, so I'd probably be against him. Like I say, Broadway Boy beat We've All Been Caught last time out, and he was giving him £5. It's off levels weights this time round. So I do think it's between Good Risk It All and Broadway Boy. Those would be the two I'd be going to war with. But I think it probably comes down to the ground. I mean, it was soft ground at Carlisle, and he's won. Good Risk It All has won at Carlisle twice on soft and heavy, and the other times where it's been a little bit better ground, he's kind of not performed. So that might actually sway me towards Broadway Boy. To be fair, it probably depends on the ground just before the race. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, 100%. I do like Good Risk It All, to be honest. I know in the Aintree Handicap Hurdle last year, he did finish 7th. No, he finished 10th, sorry. But there was only one horse in front of him carrying more weight. And to be fair, the way he jumped over the bigger obstacles, I was pretty taken, to be honest. I thought he won well. I know his main danger, unseated, I think it was the 3rd from home, but he was jumping. Yeah, he was travelling well, like I said. And to be fair, I did think he was going to win that day, to be honest. I know it was a split opinion on Twitter, but I just think here, obviously, Mr. Coffee's the sort of second favourite. I know they're different on different bookmakers, but off a layoff and stuff, I can't have it. Sam Twist, like Rich said's not sided with his dad, and I think if his dad had a winner there for him, I think he'd have chosen one of their horses instead of Good Risk At All. I think this one's a good thing. I know he's 3-1 on 365 and stuff like that, and he's 9-4 in William Hill and other places. So if you are having a bet on him, I'll probably have a go now, because he's definitely going to shorten. He'll shorten up to 9-4, and it wouldn't surprise me if he turned into less than 2-1 on the day, to be honest.
Yeah, I completely agree, to be fair. I think Good Risk It All is probably going to be the main one for me. As long as the ground don't come up too good, if he can get in the rhythm, I think he'll be very tough to beat. It seems like a big galloper. I think he'll take all the beating up in trips. So we shall see how that one goes. A nice little race, that one, to be fair. Right then, boys, we're going to move on to the big one now then. Are you there on Saturday, Rich? Are you Friday and Saturday?
Friday and Saturday.
Oh, you'll be able to see the Ryanair winner then?
We obviously have the Paddy Power Gold Cup, 2 mile 4. We have the Stage Star in here, currently as favourite, the not so Ryanair winner. Not long till May's in here, the Real Whacker, the Brown Advisory winner. Obviously, Jericho Lombackers will be sick at that. And a few of those unexpected party with daughter fugitive, things like that. I'll come to you then, Joe. I mean, are you all about the Stage Star train?
To be honest, mate, I think if he's going to win the Ryanair,
the train derailed already, is it?
No, obviously this is his path here. So when he wins here, and he's got to win here, to be honest, to go and win the Ryanair, this is just a stepping stone for him, isn't it? 4-1's an absolute steal. He'll out-jump these, he'll out-travel these, he'll go off in front, he won't see another horse. It'll be like Jaskill the other week, sort of riding his own race, popping out in front. I know he won first time out last year. I know it was a novice chase, but I don't think you can fault the horse. He didn't run that well at Aintree last time out. Apart from that, he's got ones next to his name, and he's got a second in there in November. But I just think this horse should beat these. And like I say, if he's got any chance of going to the Ryanair, which Paul Nicholls has come out and said straight after Cheltenham, he's our Ryanair horse. We like him for the Ryanair. We thought he'd win today. And about last year at Cheltenham, he's got to go and beat these, hasn't he? I know he's getting weight off not long till May. Isn't that the real Whacker? Sorry, he's getting weight off the real Whacker. Won't be an easy horse to shrug off, but for me, should be winning this really.
So what I will say to you then is, if he doesn't win, is that the Ryanair slip in the bin?
For me, a horse can lose, but if he comes 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, yeah, it's going to be tough. But I do think the real Whacker is a good horse, and obviously he beat Jerry Colombe at Cheltenham, didn't he? And that was upsetting. I wouldn't be upset or worried if he finished second to the real Whacker, because I do think the real Whacker's a good horse, but I do think he's entitled to win this. I don't think he'd shorten up massively for the Ryanair if he does win this, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair. It's a fair point. I mean, I'll come to you, Rich, obviously, but I mean, I'm probably going to chance the real Whacker in here. I think he has got to carry top weight, but I tell you now, if he's ready to go and he's jumping, gets going early on, he could have a lot of these off it very early on. I think. I mean, he's got to give £7 to Stage Star, but obviously he's rated £7 ahead of him anyway, so probably makes it about right. I mean, I think you're taking a real punt on the rest, where this guy looks like the real class animal in the race. So it's one of them, a grade 1 animal in a handicap sort of thing. Do you go over class, or do you take a punt on one on like a low weight? What are your thoughts?
I'm sure Al Ho's quaking in his boots at the thought of Stage Star running in this. Yeah, the real Whacker for me. I just think last time I was at the Paddy Power, Al Faroff won this race off top weight, and I'm going off the same opinion that the real Whacker is the class horse in this race, and he can win off top weight. Like you say, he'll go from the front, and I think he'll have a lot of these worried with his jumping. I remember a couple of years ago, Cool Cody used to jump off from the front, and he just stayed on, gained lengths, and I think he won it one year. I think previously. So yeah, I'm all over the real Whacker. I mean, he loves it around Cheltenham. He won 3 times here already. Beat Jerry Colombe in the Browns last season. Obviously, Jerry's come out and then won last week, so boosted the form. Yeah, I think the real Whacker will just win from the front. Stage Star, I think, will struggle.
Yeah, I definitely think jumping's the key here. I mean, he was probably the best jumper in terms of the novice chasers last year, I thought, and obviously used that to his advantage in the Browns, beating Jerry Colombe. I think Jerry Colombe's a better stayer, but I just think he just jumps for fun. And I think dropping back in trip to 2 mile 4 is obviously an interesting one, but I think it could really play into the real Whacker's strengths. I think. So I talk about like Aloha, how he used to go from the front and just jump and gallop and nothing got anywhere near him. I think this could be a similar sort of thing. I think a lot of these horses are going to have to really be on point jumping wise to keep up with this fella. And if they're not anywhere near turning in, I think he's probably going to go and win. So I'm going to stick with the real Whacker as well for Paddy Power.
What do you think then? So obviously, I know you asked me, would you be impressed if Stage Star goes and beats these well, convincingly? 4 or 5 lengths we're talking. What point would you say, yes, Stage Star's an animal there? I think he will go well in the Ryanair.
I probably won't, but if he does win, I'll just be like, oh, he must. If he wins the race, I will say it was a very poor race, and the real Whacker obviously wasn't fit. So that's my excuse for that one, Joe.
And then Hitman
Stage Star does not win the Ryanair.
Hitman does.
Hitman also probably doesn't win the Ryanair, but Envoy Allen does 14-1.
The red, blue, and white.
The red, blue, and white. It's coming back to the red, blue, and white. I'm telling you now, and it ain't going your way, Rich. Right then, so we're going to move on then. That's the Paddy Power. Fantastic. The real Whacker wins it, bolts up, Stage Star pulls up. Hopefully all okay. Right, so the 255, the handicap hurdle over 3 mile. Quite a tough little race to dissect this. I'll come to you first, Rich. Buddy won Judicial Law, placing it Chanchow, Shamblu in here for the Skeletons, Mucka Devassi. The few nice horses in here coming up in the handicap. What are your thoughts on this, mate? Let us know the winner.
It's one of those races where I've just kind of gone a bit let's go for a bit of a risk and see if it pays off. So I've gone with Chantry House.
Oof.
I know. I mean, over fences, fallen, unseated, pulled up, did win at Cheltenham last January. I just think reverting back to hurdles, I hope, will revive him. I mean, he was rated 158 as a chaser. He races off 147 here. Like I say, if it does spark him up, I think he is a class horse. I'm just kind of chancing it, really. There's not a lot really in here that took my fancy. Maybe Sham Blue as a second option, but yeah, that's the way I've kind of played it.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, obviously, Chantry House off 327 days. That's one hell of a layoff. It's carrying 12 stone, Nico de Boinville, so that's an extra stone on top of him. But what are your thoughts, Joe? Can Nico Stonehands get Chantry House over the line or going for something else?
I'm going for the other horse that's had 327 days off as well, Shan Blue. I know Rich mentioned, for me, it's not a great handicap, is it? I mean, there's some big names in there, but it's not one you're sort of going to have a bet on or you're going to, deeply dissect. I mean, this horse has shown bits of form, however he's been pulled up, he's fell, whatnot. But he has contested in some good races. He won the Grade 1 Corto Star in 2020. And then he was in the Ryanair. Was it last season? Yeah, he was in the Ryanair last season, albeit well beaten. But, I mean, they still must think that he's got some ability to be running him in the Ryanair. He had pretty decent form over hurdles. I know he was beaten by Shishkin and stuff like that. But I think if they can get this horse right, and we all know, these colours at Cheltenham can pull off some good wins. Langer Dan springs to mind and horses like that. I think if they've got this run right, albeit it'll be tough, having Fs and PUs all over his record and a long layoff. He could run well. He could win. To be honest, you wouldn't be surprised if you see Skelton gamble and he goes and absolutely batters these.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's a tough little handicap to dissect. I mean, the one I kind of landed on was a little bit of a tentative selection. The horse I'd backed before, and it was Judicial Law for John Joe. I quite like him. I think he's got a win in him. He won first time out back at Kelso, beating Checker out by a neck, and then the race next time out was at Cheltenham. He was second to Highland. That horse won quite well. Actually, Nicky Henderson horse with Nico de Boinville, obviously. I mean, I backed Judicial Law that day. He was second, 2 lengths, but he beat the rest pretty well, staying on quite strongly. I just think he's got a bit of a chance. I just feel like he's got an handicap in him somewhere, and it might be on Saturday, it might not, but he gets the 3 mile pretty well. He won't mind the goods to soft ground. If he doesn't get any drier, I'd give him a big chance. He's 13-2 currently. I think that's not a bad little bet. He's off 11 stone, rated 133, so I think for me, I'll give Judicial Law a little chance each way against a few of these that are coming off long breaks and things like that. I mean, there's Come On Teddy off 611 days. There's some big layoffs in this race. So I will go for Judicial Law. That's my selection. I think it bolts up. I don't really, but I might win, I hope. Fantastic. Right, we're going to move on now to the last race on the Saturday that we're going to do, and it's the 3:30 at Cheltenham. Now, this is the Paddy Power Intermediate Handicap Hurdle over 2 mile 5 furlong. Now, this is a tasty little race. Again, you've got Springwell Bay, same connections as Judicial Law in here at 9-4 favourite. You've got Resplendent Grey, who was obviously second in the Persian War behind Captain Teague. You've got Joe Tizard horse that I cannot pronounce for the life of me. Is that Gayame?
We'll go with that.
God knows. We'll go for that. London Office Calling and a few others in there. I mean, what are your thoughts on? I'll come to you, Joe, mate. Another nice little handicap, Class 3. What are your thoughts on this one? Are you with anyone at the top of the market, or have you found a hidden gem?
Yeah, I definitely think it's between the top 2, to be honest. I know they're sort of probably giving the rest of the field weight apart from Rock My Way, but one thing I will be watching is the market after tomorrow at 3:30, because I feel like if Captain T goes in and wins very well, you might see the second favourite, Resplendent Grey, shorten up quite a lot. obviously, the favourite Springwell Bears probably ought to be favourite. The form of the Aintree Novice Hurdle, Irish Point, Hermes Allen. Let's be clear about it, and you wear it well. You've got some winners in there this season already. Some big talking horses. Obviously, you have to give weight away. I think it's going to be the talk of the weekend. This, to be honest, you're going to have classy horses in there and horses who are going to be ready receiving weight. It's a tough one again. I might go Resplendent Grey. For me, if Captain T goes and wins well, this horse will shorten up. There's no doubt about that. Got race fitness on side. It's probably another tick in the box. I think it's a tough race, to be honest. Again.
Yeah, I mean, it is a tough race, and obviously the form of the Persian was key in this race. Resplendent Grey, I mean, I backed him that day each way. I thought it was a good run. Yeah, I mean, he won on soft at Perth, and he won on good to soft at Wetherby. So he won't mind the ground. I think he gets the trip. Obviously up in trip from the Persian War. I thought he stayed on quite strongly to beat everything, obviously, by Captain T. So I do think I'm probably going to chance him one more time. Skelton takes the ride for Ollie Murphy. Obviously, Sean Bowen's been on the last 3 times, or 4 out of 5 times, but Skelton's going to take over. So I think they'll fancy it. I think it's going to be tough for Springwell Bay off top weight, 12 stone, again off a 200-plus day break. And to be honest, when I went through the rest of them, nothing really jumped out at me. I mean, obviously London Office Collins won his last 2 races, but I think I'm going to chance Resplendent Grey one more time. Like you say, if Captain T bolts up, then it's obviously decent form. But I just think he's going to go well. I think he's got a good chance. I mean, he's into 10-3 now. He was 5-1 earlier in the week, anti-post sort of thing. But I'd probably chance him at 10-3. What about you, Rich?
Yeah, I kind of played the same sort of angle. The Captain Teague form. If he bolts up on Friday, then this lad will probably go close. The only other one I'll probably give a mention to is Wonderful Eagle, but I think he needs soft, heavy sort of going. I mean, he does get quite a bit of weight from the top 2, which might bring him into play. But he's one of them we look at an each way sort of price in this. But like you say, the Captain Teague form potentially could be quite strong. So, yeah, I think Resplendent Grey is probably the one to go for. But like I say, if it did become soft, Wonderful Eagle each way, I think it'd be quite a good bet as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with that. I mean, for an each way angle into it, I thought maybe a horse called Tiger Jet with Cobden on. He pulled up behind Winter the Lightning, obviously for the Greenhorn Guerrero team, but he steps back up in trip on good to soft ground, which he's won on before. So he could have a bit of a chance back down off 115. He's been dropped £2 for that pulling up. But I think Resplendent Grey will win. But a bit in each way at 14-1, I thought Tiger Jet might be interesting. Having pulled up last time, sometimes it's worth taking him a chance. He pulled up on soft ground. It's not going to be soft, I don't think so. Most of his form's on good to soft, so he could have an each way chance. But Cobden, I won't say he's doing the best at the moment, but we shall see how he gets on. So that's 3 for Resplendent Grey then.
James, if you were, and Rich, if you were going to bet on Resplendent Grey, would you back him now, or would you wait for the other Persian War runner, Captain Teague?
I'll probably back him now.
Probably just get on him now, to be fair. I think if he does, Captain Teague bolts up. I mean, obviously Captain Teague won anyway, so I don't think it'd change the price too much, but it might just make people go towards it. And
I think it would.
Yeah, maybe. It might shorten
up. Favourite anyway, yeah. I do think 10-3 is big, to be honest.
You might as well play the double if you fancy the form to
Very true.
Up.
Yeah, roll it on, maybe. There's a comment here from John. You all right, John? Good evening, mate. I'll be at Haydock as an annual badge holder. If I see you, Joe, I will try and not mention Little Miss Duracell to you. I'm assuming he means apple away, but yeah, good man, Joe. I'm sure if Joe sees you, can get he'll let you. He'll get you a pint of apple cider or something to.
Yeah, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'll get my winnings from Morocco. I'll buy you a pint or two, John. We'll have a good day. We'll have a laugh. Hopefully, have a few winners.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, John's a big fan of it. I mean, hopefully we get to see Apple away very soon. It might be a mention in the comments when she's entered, if she's entered anytime soon. But
I know, because she was entered, and then obviously the race was called off, and then I haven't seen any mentions, or I've got her on the tracker, and I haven't had any sort of notification that she's ready to run. So she might have just seen Irocco run and thought, well, I'm just not going to run this season then.
Maybe. But hopefully we do get to see her out very soon. She obviously is a good animal. She had a lot of winners behind her at Aintree, but we don't talk about Aintree. But yeah, no, Apple away, Anti-Rocco. Let's hope we get to see him eventually. Right then, so we're going to move on over to Ireland now, where we have some tasty little races to talk about. Navan, the Lismullen Hurdle. This is a very interesting race, this one. You've got Zanahiyr in here. You've got good old Bob Ollinger back. Last year's winner home by the Lee. Cider Burley, the old head. I think he's about 18 years old now. Andy Dufresne and Bustleton. Hang on a sec. There's a comment in here. Hexham. She went at Hexham, but that got cancelled, of course. And Ginger Joe's jumped in and he's put, hang on. I thought there was only one Ginger Joe. No, there's two now, mate. There's two.
So
we decided you do that well, mate. We thought we'd go get his own Ginger Joe. But I think you're better, Joe, so don't worry about that. I'm talking to you. Right, so the Lismullen Hurdle. I mean, obviously, a couple of old heads in here. Who are you thinking, Rich? I'll come to you, mate. Who are your thoughts in here? Is Home by League going to win last time, or?
I don't know. I mean, you look down the line. You've got Andy Dufresne, Cider Burley, Home by the Lee. There's not a lot that stands out for me. You know, I've kind of played Zanahiyr. I just think the race fitness against these rivals. I mean, he's younger than all these as well. I just think that might come into play. You know, Cider Burley's 11 stone 12 versus Zanahiyr's 11 stone 3. I just think that's a big weight to carry. Bob Ollinger's kind of the interesting one because he's the horse that everybody wants to do well and come back to like his novice form, but even which Bob Ollinger's going to turn up, that's the question. So Zanahiyr is the one I've kind of played. Race fitness, stayed on well last time out. Step up and trip here shouldn't really suit these. Step up and trip shouldn't be an issue, sorry. Whereas a lot of these have been running over like the staying distances, and a lot of these drop back to 2 miles 4. Are they going to have the pace? You know, they're knocking on a bit now. George mentioned in the anti-post show that horses get slower, so Cider Burley must be going backwards about now. He's that old. So I just think Zanahiyr is probably the one to be on.
Yeah, I mean, if Ginger Joe's then yeah, I just thinking we went to Wish for our Ginger Joe. Well, I'm telling you now, right? I'm gonna give a certain horse one last chance.
Oh, Bob Ollinger,
and I am gonna go with Bob Ollinger. Now, I'm telling you now, I've got this feeling we're gonna see one of the greatest comebacks of all time. Now, you know. Stop talking about Hitman. This horse, Bob Ollinger, right? He was incredible. He won his first 9 races. He won 8, and he was only beaten when he dropped back in trip over 2 mile by Fernie Hollow. Now he was an absolute beast. He won the Ballymore. He obviously won the Turners, but simply because Galloping Deschamps tipped up, and they've sent him chasing. It didn't really work. It probably left its mark on him, and you know. But he come back into this race last year, and for a long way, he looked like the winner. And we're thinking, oh my days, he's travelling all over them. And he just got tired later on, and I thought we could forgive him that. But there's not really come back to spark to any other race after that. But he's still run okay. But I just think it's one of them. It's been tough for him, and it's probably a heart over head. But he's just a horse. I'm desperate for him to come back. He was such a big part of my journey. Sort of when I used to watch him. He was an absolute beast. I loved him, and I'd love for him to come back and win this. Don't get me wrong, it's going to be tough, but he's getting way off Home by the Lee, Cider Burley, and I just think, I mean, he's seen a bit of money now. He's nibbled into 15-8, so I think it's once again, there's a lot of people out there that with emotions running high, hoping he's going to go and win, but I mean, I hope he does win, so I'm going to stick by him one last time, give him one last chance.
300 days off the course, though, nearly.
What's that?
300 days off the course, nearly.
Yeah, but, you know, they're all coming off a break. Zanahiyr's obviously race fit. Don't get me wrong, Zanahiyr might bottle up, but I'm just going to give Bob Ollinger one last chance. Captain Bob, come on, lad. What's your thoughts, Joe? Let's hear it, mate.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Rich. Zanahiyr is going to bolt up. It's going to absolutely ruin these. You know, every horse has got over 200 days off the track, bar Andy Dufresne, who I'm not a great fan of the horse, to be honest. For me, isn't at this level. to see Bob Ollinger win a Grade 2 hurdle after 293 days off after what I can describe as the P second, fifth, and third of last year just can't happen. I mean, a lot of people do sort of, will throw a couple of quid on hoping that he does get back to his best. And to be honest, I'd love to see it because, the year before when he won at Cheltenham was absolutely brilliant. And I was on him when, he won the next year at Cheltenham, but he shouldn't have beat Galloping. And for me, Gordon Elliott's flying form, Zanahiyr for me. Did he beat, was it, who was it last time, the Charles Burns horse? Oscar? Or what was the horse called?
One for Oscar.
Yeah, that was the one. He was giving weight away to him as well. And, a lot of people said, the weights and stuff like that. And I thought Zanahiyr won pretty comfortably in the end. Zanahiyr, for me, wins this pretty easily, to be honest.
It's just crazy. Obviously Bob Ollinger's a bit of an enigma and he's 8 years old now, getting on a little bit. But if you take out the runs after when he beat Galloping Chomp when he fell, the four. If you just go off that,
James, no.
Basically,
if you take out Hitman's last 20 runs, he's a good horse.
If we go off that back form, he absolutely demolishes all of these. So if he has any sort of spark left in him and it shines and it comes, I want to be there. I want to be on him. So I'm happy just to put a little bit on him, have a fun bet on him. No issue whatsoever with that. I would
love to see it, to be honest. I mean, everyone was taken by him early on in his career and everyone thought he was going to be the next big thing. Obviously, it hasn't worked out. It'd be loved. I mean, I don't think anyone would not love to see him back. He'd be the talk of Twitter and everything, wouldn't he? It'd blow up, but I just can't see it.
I think
Bob Ollinger is back.
John just mentioned it in a comment, but I think Galloping broke him.
I was there when Galloping fell at the last. It was a sure bet. It was a sure bet. I mean, he'd won the race easy, but I mean, what a way to go just to sort of slip and fall like that. But
I know because he didn't actually fall. Well, he didn't fall. Well, he obviously fell, but he did. It wasn't like he, smashed the fence or anything like that. I know he jumped the second to last pretty low, but he was well over it. And the second one, the last, he just. I mean, I was on Bob Ollinger and I went to walk out the room and then he just sort of fell in slow motion. I was like, no way.
Bob Ollinger walked to the finishing line in that race.
Yeah.
Lads, Bob Ollinger wins. Trust me. Right then, so the last couple of races to get through, we'll go to the Fortria Chase. This sees the return of Dysart Dynamo, Captain Guinness in here. I mean, he's got a string of seconds of Captain Guinness, Samoa, Riviere de Tel, and Nowhere or When. I'll come to you, Joe. I mean, I quite like Dysart Dynamo in here. I think if he gets his jumping going well, I think he probably takes all the beating in here. I think he's won well fresh the last twice. So I've got no issue with him coming into here fresh. I think if he can bounce out and take it up from the front, I think he'll be pretty hard to beat, me personally. He's got some obviously good form in behind the likes of El Fabiola and things like that. And if he can stay on his feet, I just think he takes all the beating. He gets a lot of weight as well off the likes of Captain Guinness. He actually gets £9 off Captain Guinness. Is that right? Yeah. It is.
Yeah.
Wow. And weight off Samoa. So I think he takes all the beating personally. He's currently 6-4. What are your thoughts, mate, Joe?
Yeah, I agree with you, mate. I mean, Captain Guinness has got the John Bond form. Won it last year. Penalised here. Carrying 11 stone 10. Dysart Dynamo, runs pretty well early on in the season. Seems to burn out a bit, doesn't he? And I know he was a head case in the Supreme the year Constitution Hill won it. I don't think he was going to get anywhere near. But he went off like the clappers. I just think if this horse manages to settle and he gets his act together jumping wise, I know he was beaten well by El Fabiolo, but that form's got to be this, sort of the strongest form, I'd say, in a way. I know John Bon and El Fabiolo have the slight form ties, but I think in this, Dysart Dynamo deserves to be favourite, especially getting weight. I can't believe that both 6-4, to be honest. I'd probably have El Fabiolo even money and Captain Guinness 9-4, 7-4.
So I do well to win this with El Fabiolo, by the way.
Sorry, Captain Guinness. Sorry.
Dysart Dynamo, yeah. What about you then, Richie? You're going to go for Dysart Dynamo on this? I think if he can get his jumping going over 2 mile, he could have these off it early on, couldn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he's a bit of a nutcase, isn't he? But he usually bolts off from the front, and like you say, he gets the weight, and practically have the race finished by 2 out. You could be miles ahead. Like I say, drop down in Grade 2, Grade 2. I'd be quite disappointed if he can't win a Grade 2, getting weight off these. Yeah, he probably been, like you say, he brings probably the strongest form, second to El Fabiola at Punches Town. Yeah, bar from a 4, I think he just wins because he's a bit of a Fruit Loop.
Yeah, is it just me this weekend? You know, when you're looking through, I know when I was looking through the race and stuff, there's a lot of good horses out, but there's not many like exceptional, like standout horses. I think there's
what do you mean? There's one on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you've got some big names, but I don't think there's any I think, I don't know if I'm brave to say this, for me, there's only one Cheltenham winner out of this weekend, and it's Stage Star.
No, there's definitely another
Cheltenham
winner. Right then, so we're going to finish on the next race, which is obviously a big race. It is the Beginner's Chase over in Navan, the 3:15. And obviously, I mean, I'm not even going to speak to Joe. I'll come to you, Rich. I mean, the Arkle winner is obviously in here, Facile Vega. He ain't ducking nobody. He ain't running scared like Barry O'Connell is with Marine Nationale. I'm going to wait till this. I'm going to wait till December because the ground's a bit blah 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 blah. Run your horse if he's fit and ready to go. Run him. You're running scared. I feel like I'm going to end up like John Fury here. I will take you on. I'll take you on. You're running scared. So obviously we've got Facile Vega making his reappearance over fences. In the pocket's an interesting one. I think you might want a bit further. St. Felician, and I won't even bother mentioning the rest. I mean, Facile Vega's just going to bolt up here, surely. I mean, it's softer, heavy ground, 2 mile and furlong. It's absolutely ideal for him. I'll be shocked if he's beaten here. He's 8-13, so he could be the one to double with Captain T. But I think he'll just win, and I think he'll win well. What about you?
Yeah, I can't wait to see him. He's bred to be a chaser. I know he finished second to Marine in the Supreme, but he clattered the last, and all momentum was gone in my eyes. So,
he over jumped and dragged his legs, didn't he? It was just one of them.
Yeah, he couldn't jump.
So, yeah, everybody says the Corvega offspring tend to get better with age as well. So that's another positive in the box. He didn't really have the best prep going to Cheltenham. He finished lame at Dublin Racing Festival, and everybody was knocking him, saying, "Oh, he's gone. He's not going to get anywhere in the Supreme." And he ran a good race, so his prep wasn't ideal. And I can't wait to see him jump a fence. I think we'll find out whether or not he's going to be an Arkle horse. I mean, 2 mile, 1 furlong. I think if he's impressive, then we'll find out. If he struggles, then potentially we'll know where his target is going to be. So that'd be quite interesting. But yeah, can't wait to see him bolt up. Cheltenham 2024 winner.
Yeah, there'll be no. I don't think there'll be any. I don't think there'll be any struggling. I think the 2 mile one's fine. I think it'll just cement him even more as an Arkle horse. He's going to jump a fence really well. I think he's got the engine. He's got the cruising speed. He's bred to do it. Marine Nationale. It's a weird one because I mean, I don't really get this whole not running him sort of thing. I think if he's fit and ready to go, you should want to be getting some jumping experience into him, especially a horse that's not actually bred. He's a flat-bred horse, not bred for jumps. So. You might score well at home. It's all well and good, but you need to go and do it out on the track at the end of the day. And if we aren't going to see him until December,
first time out.
You what, sorry?
He doesn't want to finish third first time out.
Well, that's it. I mean, he could have come here. There's no reason why he couldn't have come here. So obviously, he's thinking of the ground, but surely it's only going to get deeper as the weather turns into December. But I think in the pocket's a good horse, but I see him more as going up in trips, so he might get done for a bit of tow here. But I really like Facile Vega. I mean, you're going to try and obviously put him down here, Joe, but he had a poor prep going into that Supreme. Anything you do over hurdles, to me, I'd stick it in the bin because fences are a different kettle of fish. What are your thoughts, mate?
I mean, I am a big fan of In the Pocket, regardless of who he's racing. And I do think it will be a test. To be fair, to be totally honest, I believe In the Pocket finished 3 lengths behind Facile Vega in the Supreme. And I wouldn't say he's got he's obviously got a chance. Facile's definitely the right favourite and he should improve for going over fences. But it will be very informative. I mean, if In the Pocket comes, for me, anywhere closer than 3 lengths, it's a disappointment. everyone says, "Oh, Facile." Everyone on the Facile train says, "Oh, Facile should win." If he's going to win an Arkle, he should be putting in the pocket, and he should be battering in the pocket. For me, the horse wants a lot further. I think they've been in no conversation. It's known he wants further. To be fair, it wouldn't surprise me if Willie stepped Facile up. I just think he did mention it. He mentioned he's bred for further, but he wants to keep him over 2 mile. He's already started him off at 2 mile 1. Is that a worry for the Arkle? I'd say probably not. I will be watching this one with a close eye. I think if you believe Barry Connell that the horse is ground dependent, I think it's a bit silly because he won at Cheltenham on soft. He won the Royal Bond on very soft. I don't know what's going on, to be honest. I would like to see him. I wouldn't say it's a worry. He had a sort of different prep to all the horses last year, to be honest. So did Facile. He sort of bombed out, didn't he? And Marine had run in the Royal Bond and then didn't run again. So I think the two horses will sort of do what they're going to do. I think they'll always sort of avoid each other. Fingers crossed you might see them clash at Dublin Racing Festival, if not at Cheltenham. It's one I will keep a close eye on. I don't think In the Pocket is no mug, but I think if he's going to go and win the Arkle, he's got to sort of show a turn of foot, especially over 2 mile 1 and soft ground here. Stand a chance up 2 mile at Cheltenham. I'm not knocking the horse there. I'm just saying that I think that's a valid point, to be honest.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, I personally, I think he'll win. I think he'll win well. I think In the Pocket probably wants. I do think he wants further. I think it's great condition for Vassal Vega. I just think he'll go and win. I mean, the whole Barry Connell thing. I think he wants to stay away from any tough races for some reason. Whether he'll end up against Vassal before, I mean, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see him race a couple of times before. And if we can go into the festival like 1-1, even then, something like that would be great. It'd be great to see throughout the season. But it is a bit unfortunate that we kind of just build it all up to Cheltenham. But yeah, Vassal Vega for me. I'm back on the train. I think chasing's going to be his game, and I think he's going to go and win. So
I do think Facile will win. However, I will be backing In the Pocket just for the laugh. That if he does beat him, I can post it all over and say Facile bubble burst already.
It'd just be nice to have a chance to see whether Marine's bubble's going to burst or not, but we're not going to see that till next year. So
has he even got a bubble?
See now. I mean, obviously, I do like Marine National. We backed him for the Supreme. We backed him for the Supreme. I changed sides because of the prep for Facile Vega. It was obvious he had to do it, but I mean, for me, it would be funny if he does jump like a bag of spanners when first
you are completely taking that risk on. I mean, he is short. I mean, he shortened up straight away after the Supreme last year, but I've got to stick with him. To be fair, I talked him all the way through. I like the horse. I love the horse. Fingers crossed. Anyway, he jumps. I hope they both. To be fair, I hope they both avoid each other and they both win. And then we see them at Dublin Racing Festival, and it's a good race. And then they turn up at Cheltenham.
So it'd be nice to see him in the. I think there is an Arkle race at the Dublin Racing Festival. I think if they both went there, I'd love to see that before Cheltenham.
Absolutely missed it.
Yeah, so fingers crossed we get to see that. Right then, that'll do for us for tonight, lads. We're going to do anything else. So I'll come to you, Rich. Have you got anything else? If you dare mention the flat, I'll be kicking off.
No, there's a few. So on Friday, the first race, we've got White Rhino for the Greenall Guerrero yard. He absolutely bolted up at Carlisle by 9 lengths last time out. He's up £9 for that. But if you watch the anti-post show, Saul, who rides out for the yard, put him up as one of his horses to follow. So no pressure there. The other one I like on the Friday is it Imposed Toy, but for JP in the 405. When he won by 15 lengths in Ludlow in May. So I thought that was quite impressive. We'll see what what he performs like on Friday. I think that's about it. Oh, on Sunday, we've got John Bon. I'm quite excited to see John Bon make his reappearance. It's in the Schlaw Chase. Is that one?
The Schlaw Chase?
Schlaw Chase, yeah. I mean, I think he was 2 to 5 when I checked, so he's not a backable price, but it'd be interesting because Edward Stone's in that, so potentially we'll see if Edward Stone's back, or I have a feeling they may switch into Ryanair next March, so that'd be quite interesting to see. No, I mean, there is quite a lot of good courses out, so just keep an eye out. see what runs well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to Weatherby. I mean, the other one I mentioned, obviously, the half brother to Home Public is Gaborio. He runs at Doncaster. He's got a good chance, but I think that he has gone quite short now. You're looking at 7-4, but I'll give him a squeaker going in again. Go on, Joe. Anything else?
6-4 now, mate. And I know I'll get absolutely hammered for this, but if you remember last week's Anything Else, I chose one horse called Evening Story at 3-1, and it absolutely bolted up.
On the flat,
yeah. And it goes in again tomorrow. Sam James is on at Newcastle, 155. If you just go and watch the race, you'll see how easy he won. I don't want to spend too long on it. He's 2-1 now. He's definitely got a lot more to offer.
Did he go up in weight for his last
Pardon?
win? Has he gone up in weight since his last win?
Yeah, I believe he's gone up £5, I think, or 4 maybe. He didn't win by much, but he travelled so well. But yeah, Greenall and Guerrero have a lot of horses out this weekend. White Rhino, I was there when he won at Carlisle. He won very well. Big galloper of a horse. I don't think I say quite a lot, to be fair. He's a big horse, so I think he'll carry the extra weight pretty well. He's big staying type. And Gabriel as well. He's been backed. Very impressed with him at Camden last time. He battled so well. There was I can't remember the horse there, but he was travelling so sweetly. Gabriel and him both jumped the last, and I thought he was going to be the unlucky loser. He just kept finding. So I'm very excited to see him out tomorrow as well. Fingers crossed for a good weekend of racing, and enjoy the races, James and Rich. Hopefully we get some, a few photos and stuff like that. And especially Rich, enjoy Captain Teague's procession tomorrow.
Yeah, it should be a good weekend. It should be a good weekend overall. Right, so we'll finish on Naps and next best. So I'll come to you and enjoy your next best for this weekend's racing.
My next best is Gabriel at Doncaster.
Ooh, what about you, Rich? Who is your next best for the weekend?
The Real Whacker.
Ooh.
Oof. Tell you what, this is tight.
Who's yours, James?
Mine is going to be. I'm going to go with Good Risk at All in the 145 the Cheltenham on Saturday. I think he's got a really good chance personally. I'm going to stick with him. He'll be my next best, I think. And your nap, Rich. Who's your nap of the weekend?
My nap of the weekend is the Captain Teague Facile Vega double.
Ooh.
Of course it is. That should win pretty well easy, don't you think? I mean, I think it will. I mean, I'm assuming who's your nap going to be, Joe?
In the pocket. Well, Good Risk at All. Good Risk at All. Really like that horse. I think he's head and shoulders above these.
Well, I'm going to nap Bob Ollinger for the.
No.
I'm not really. I'll nap Real Whacker. I think Real Whacker takes all the beating. If he gets his jumping going, I think he takes all the beating personally. So I will go with him.
Star on the snap.
Stage start to pull up. And the final word then before we go, Joe, obviously there was a Greenall Guerrero horse that won today. I'm assuming you backed it, called Let's Go Joe. Did you back it?
Yeah, mate, of course I did.
Fantastic.
I made a swift entry into the toilets and threw up all over after I seen the results.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for joining us tonight then, lads. It's been another good show. We've enjoyed talking about the racing. Obviously, we enjoy doing it, so we're going to continue doing it. Make sure you follow us all on Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, the lot. We're on there, so you can follow all them there. We've obviously got our anti-post show again on Monday. The last few episodes have been really good. Got a lot of good traction, so hopefully you're all enjoying them. We've got a big one coming on Monday. We might have a really big guest, so keep your eyes crossed for that. We'll see how that one goes, but we'll announce that later on. And obviously, we'll be back again next Thursday. So, as always, like and subscribe to the channel. We're nearly at 350, so if we can get to that soon, that'd be fantastic. And any final words, boys, before we go?
Go on, Rich.
Just a big thank you to everyone that's liked and subscribed. And if you've not done it yet, go and subscribe now. And looking forward to Cheltenham is back. I'm very excited to be going. It's been a while since I've been to Cheltenham.
Good man, Joe.
Yeah, exactly the same as Rich. Cheers for everyone. Even the guys in the comment there, John, Craig, You know, we love to see it. We love the interactions and stuff like that. We're all on Twitter. Give us a message. I know we've seen a few polls out and stuff recently, and we've had a bit of back and forth. You know, it's good to hear. I love to hear other people's opinions as well. So yeah,
How
keep
close
it up.
was that poll? Unbelievable how close
It
that
was
was.
tight. There was, I think, only 300 votes on it, and it was very, very close. So I'm sure it'll be close all year long. But John says, "Good show, boys." Cheers, John. Thanks for tuning
Cheers,
in.
John. Thank you, mate.
Like I say, like and subscribe to the channel. Keep your eyes out on our TikToks and social medias and that. We're going to have loads of content coming out from Weatherbit and Cheltenham. And overall, a good, big, decent winning weekend. So, yeah, fingers crossed. Right, guys. Thank you very much and goodbye. See you next time.
Good
See
night,
you
sir.